Go to Progressive.com today. Now that's Progressive. A little more color on the basketball, and then we'll get into the Tom Brady stuff. As far as, look, LeBron, phenomenal. Yeah. Right? Phenomenal. Yeah. What else can you say? LeBron is incredible. Of all the stats coming out of last night's game, the one that I like the most is this. LeBron James led his team. You can talk all you want about how many points, how many rebounds, and how many assists. And there are a number of statistics. Mike gave you one a minute ago, and there are many more about the specifics. But it was also the 33rd time, just to show you to what degree LeBron James has carried teams in the playoffs. You ready for this?
Yeah.
It was the 33rd time in his career in the playoffs that he was his team's outright leader in points, rebounds, and assists in all three of those categories. 33 times. That's by far the most in NBA history. Next is Larry Bird with 13. 13 versus 33 by a margin of 20, more than double the number of times that anyone has ever been his team's outright leader in points, rebounds, and assists. Now, those stats don't all go all the way back to the inception of the league, but it certainly goes back through the era of most of the stars we talk about on this show regularly, and it is just a continued illustration of LeBron James' greatest quality, which is his versatility. He does everything, and last night he did it all.
And really having to put that team on his back with Kyrie Irving and with his foot situation. Shumpert was back last night. That certainly helps for them. As we mentioned before, Paul Gasol's still out for the Bulls. They just can't shake the injury bug, whether it's Derrick Rose the last couple of years or Gasol right now. But this was a game. To me, the number that LeBron James, and you hear him talking about it, that he's going to be most impressed with last night is the 0. And that's a 0 under the turnover column. He had all the points, the rebounds, assists, everything he did, all that he was handling the ball, and he didn't turn the ball over. To him, he said he was surprised to hear it after the game, but he said to him that's the most important number. And I get it. For as much as you touch the ball, you see 6, 7, 8 turnovers out of him, and that just aggravates him. So no turnovers here. He's been shooting 38% for the series. Has not been shooting well, and he's still not shooting well from three-point line. He was just 1 of 5, but he shot 58% overall last night. No turnovers, as I mentioned. The big block on Derrick Rose when he could have tied the game at 101 as time was running out or getting to the end of that game. So all those numbers are great, and the lists are great. We know how great he is, but that turnover number is key for as much as he has to handle the ball and as much as they're on his shoulders because of some of the injuries.
And Kyrie played well last night.
He did.
Kyrie
yes, he
Irving
did.
Played well last night, scored 25 points. And so if you look at the two of them last night, LeBron and Kyrie combined to shoot 23 of 40 from the floor. They combined for 63 points. Jimmy Butler and Derrick Rose combined for 45. Derrick Rose just didn't hold up his end of the bargain. He didn't score the last 23 minutes of that game.
Derrick Rose he had 16 points, 12 in the first quarter, 2 of 15 from the field the rest of the way. So he was basically a non-factor the rest of the way after coming out of the gate strong.
When they made that comeback in the fourth quarter, it was all around him.
Well, Cleveland was up 90-73. The Bulls went on an 11-0 run. It was Dunleavy who had 6 of those points. We told you that Butler had a monster game for him as well. They got themselves back in that game. I mean, you thought Cleveland they were pulling away. The biggest lead in that game for Cleveland was 17. But the Bulls, came back at the end. Again, the shot in the air to tie it up by Rose. That it
didn't stay in the air long.
No, it didn't, as LeBron swatted it.
It stayed in the air, but going in the other direction.
It left his hand, we'll say that. And then quickly it was not going anywhere near the basket.
Here's Chauncey Billups on LeBron.
When it comes to the playoffs, you win the best way you can win. I mean, in this series, it's kind of gone that way throughout the series. I mean, this guy's banged up, that guy's banged up. It's a series of runs. I mean, it's been an ugly series, to be honest with you, basketball-wise. You have a guy here and there stepping out, having big games. You look at LeBron James tonight, 38 points, 12 rebounds. On the night that he knew you had to have a win at home, he didn't squander an opportunity.
And as far as the Bulls, I root for the Bulls with my history in Chicago and my wife being from Chicago. And I feel a little bad for them. This is going to be it for them. I don't believe that they have a chance of winning the last 2 games.
Yeah.
I know people will tell me that I'm crazy. Whatever it is, everyone yelled at me when I said it the other day. When LeBron hit that shot, that dagger, Sunday afternoon at the United Center, the series was over to me. And especially now that the Gasol doesn't play again. And I think that this is going to be it for Thibodeau, and whatever direction the thing winds up going, it'll go. However they get remade. I think they have still the makings of a good team. And
I agree.
We'll see where it winds up being. But the legacy of this group is it was never healthy.
Yep.
And you were never able to see what they could have done if they had all stayed together.
That's why there was so much anticipation for this postseason after Derrick Rose comes back from the meniscus surgery and he's playing well. And you think, okay, they finally have their team together. And then we see what happened to Cleveland with Love being out, J.R. Smith missing the first 2 games with suspension, and thought this was the chance for Chicago. While we still stayed with our pick of Cleveland, it was a shaky stay. But you kind of had to see how it played out. But then, you see the injury to Gasol, and we'll see. Now, that's the one thing I'm holding back on. If he can come back now, even if he comes back in the next game, you're talking about nursing a hammy, and hammies are just a bad lingering injury. So I don't even know if he'll be able to play the next game or not, but we'll see. And if he can, how will he be able to play it? And I mentioned Derrick Rose's numbers. Well, he aggravated the stinger he had in his shoulder. So you're right. I mean, it's a team that they were the last 2 years, they're going to be so much fun to watch in the playoffs. They're not going to win, but they're that tough, scrappy team. They're going to make the other teams work for it, and they did. But this year it was actually, hey, well, maybe now as they're all healthy, they're able to make that run themselves. And then with what happened to Cleveland, it's like, okay, Chicago looking pretty good right now. And I agree with you. It's going to end because now out of Chicago, they're talking about keeping their coach all of a sudden after all we've heard is they're getting rid of him. He's going to be gone. He may end up down in New Orleans if Calipari's not there. Who knows? We'll get into that. But I'm with you. And that would be a shame because you got to like the pieces of the puzzle that Chicago has right now, especially a guy like Jimmy Butler.
And Rose, we talked about Derrick Rose's number last night, 1 of 12 in the second half after going 6 of 12 in the first half. So tough night there. Again, the other game last night, Houston just obliterates the Clippers. Yeah. 2 Game 5s tonight with the NBA, and then the Game 7 tonight, obviously at the Garden, which has a chance to be phenomenal. And if history is any guide, the one thing you can say for sure is that Henrik Lundqvist is only going to give up 1 goal.
Exactly.
Because he's played a lot of Game 7s, and he only gives up 1 goal. So that's the one thing. If they're going to lose that game tonight, they're going to lose it 1-0.
Right.
That's what history says. All right, Mike and Mike, in exactly 1 minute, we'll get you our thoughts.